Hi, my name's Jake. I'm an artist and a member of the Arts in Health team here at Flinders Medical Centre. And in this video workshop today, I'm going to be showing you something called the Loomis Method, which is a technique that we can use to draw heads and faces and help get them looking right and looking in proportion in a sort of three-dimensional way. This technique uses a very basic structure, which is what we'll be going over today, which once you know those basics, you can then change and manipulate to draw the heads from all different angles, looking in all different directions, and the heads of lots of different people because we all look a little bit different. But today we'll just be doing the very basic structure of the Loomis Method. So check out the video and I hope you enjoy. So when drawing a face with the Loomis Method, the first thing we do is draw a circle. Now this circle represents the cranial mass of the head, which is this portion here. So not really including the jaw and neck and things like that, but just that, the sort of bulk of the head. Now the cranial mass of the head is basically a sphere with the sides chopped off. So we start with this circle, and as you can see, I go around and around a lot until I get a sort of circle that I'm pretty happy with. And we want it to be like actually quite circular. We don't want it sort of too big at one end and too small at the other or anything like that. You can take an eraser and sort of erase off some of these lines if you find that distracting, and get more that circular shape that you're after. So to sort of take the sides off of this circle to kind of represent this bit here, which is that flat plane on the side of the head, we draw an oval. So depending on the angle of the head, sort of depends on how this oval sits. So if we were to draw a face completely on the side, we would actually draw an actual circle that's slightly smaller in the middle of this circle, and we would base it off of that. If we were to draw a face more on the front, we would have this larger circle here, and this oval would be very skinny like this. And that's sort of just skewed, changed either fatter or skinnier depending on the angle of the head. And once I get sort of into doing more of this, you'll understand bit more about that. Now this circle should be 2/3 the size of the larger circle. Sorry, this oval on the side should be 2/3 the size of this larger circle. Right here, I'm not going exactly 2/3. If you wanted to measure it from sort of this point to this point and work out what 2/3 was, you could do that. But at the moment, I'm just sort of doing it as an estimate. I just take a little bit off the top, a little bit off the bottom. So we've got our large circle, we've got our oval on the side, which represents the side of the head here. The next thing we do is draw a cross through this circle, this side of plane here. So draw a cross in the middle, we draw line in the middle, line in the middle, like that. Now, we draw a line coming off of here. We draw a line from the middle, we draw a line coming from the top of this circle across, and a line from the bottom of this circle across. So we basically end up with these two distances here, which should be the same as each other if we put this line right in the middle here. So what do these three lines here represent? Well, the top one is where the hairline sits. The middle one here is where the eyebrows sit. And the bottom one here is where the bottom of the nose sits. So we've got the hairline, the eyebrows, and the bottom of the nose. So the next bit we need to get is the bottom of the chin. And what we need to do is add another line at the same distance as these three already sit from each other. Now, one way of doing this is to use a pencil, line up the bottom here, line this up, put sort of your fingernail or something against it, and then I can just drop that down to this line and sort of push in there. Now you can just do it by eye, you can just roughly guess it, you could measure it if you really wanted to. At this stage it's not, we're trying to get it as accurate as we can, but it's not a big deal. So what we've got here is these 3/3. So this third here, and this third here. Now this line, like I said, is the bottom of the chin. So you can see on here, the bottom of the nose on this here, which is this line here, what we can start doing is looking at these lines and then looking at where the different bits of the face come in. So you can see sort of this bit here is where the jawline starts to kind of angle in. So that's a little bit up from the bottom of the nose. So I can sort of go maybe roughly about here. Now I'm not trying to draw exactly this face, my own face here, but I'm just using this as a rough guide to kind of show you some things. So from there we can have the angle of the jaw coming in, and we know the bottom of the chin needs to be here. Here's the side of the face. We can put in the chin, and then we have the jaw kind of coming back, which is this back up here. You can see that the jaw kind of comes along and then it goes almost vertical kind of at this point. So we can bring that on an angle and then a little sort of vertical section for the jaw. And you can see I kind of go soft and then go darker as I'm wanting the specific line. From here, I can add in a bit of an ear and the side of the face here. And you can see the structure of the face starting to form. Now, one thing you'll notice is this face here is actually on a little bit of an angle kind of upwards, just very slightly. It doesn't come quite across. And the reason we can tell that is where the sort of ear sits and the eyebrow sits. If we join those lines, we have a bit of an angle. That's not perfectly horizontal across. Now that line here is actually this line here. So if we were going to do this a bit more realistically, we'd actually start with this line sort of like that. But we're not going to worry about trying to get it exact at the moment. So to bring in sort of the side of the face here, because we can see this is kind of the front of the face and this is sort of the side of the face, I like to bring down from this circle, we bring down a line that comes in with that comes into where the side of the chin is. And then from here, now this line doesn't, none of these lines really exist, but I like to just bring in a line that is sort of the middle point of the face. And once we get to here, we have our basic Loomis head. And we can see if we look at this, it's almost like a head in 3 dimensions. Now I'll just put some very basic features on just so you can sort of see this a little more accurately. We're not going to go for realism, but as I said, this line here is where the eyebrows sit. This line here is the bottom of the nose. So we can bring up some sort of nostrils, side of the nose, sorry. We can bring up a bit of a rough line just so we've got a bit more of a structure, and we can put in the mouth, sort of goes in the middle of this bottom third here, which is looking quite sad. And we'll just put in some basic shapes for the eyes. Like I said, we're not going for something realistic here, or even like this, like my own face here. I'm just getting in some rough features so you can kind of see how that structure works. We'll put in, now the hairline, often people's hair actually drops down a bit from the actual hairline itself. So we can put in some hair. And also people's hair usually goes up from the cranium. So we'll add a bit of sort of spiky hair. Coming down sort of a little bit behind the ear. And we can see we've got some hair there. Put in a little bit of detail of the ear. And you can see here that we've got the basics. Now we could also put in the neck, which kind of comes out behind the jaw, pretty much just comes straight down, and a little bit sort of from the chin there. And then we could even put in sort of some of the shoulders that sort of come off here now. So you can see I've not actually drawn this face here. I've not even drawn a very realistic face, but you can see how that basic structure with the Loomis method works. It allows us to divide the face up into those key thirds, the hairline, the eyebrow line, the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the chin. It also gives us these different planes. So it gives us this side plane of the head, and it gives us the side of the jaw, and it gives us the front plane of the face. And it gives us that shape of sort of the cranial mass with the jaw kind of jutting down from that. So that's the basics of the Loomis method. The great thing about this is it can be adjusted to do faces looking at all kinds of different angles. And once we've got those basic thirds, we can draw actual people's faces, because most of the time people's faces aren't perfectly divided into thirds. We can get the shape of the jaw, we can get all the features and things like that. We're not doing that in this video today. This is just that very basic framework. So you're starting from a place that's pretty accurate for a face. So I hope that video was helpful. Go ahead, give it a go yourself. If you enjoyed this video and would like to access more activities from Arts in Health at FMC, then please contact us on 8204 3096 or email artsinhealth@sa.gov.au and we can send you a link to more of our resources.